All right, let's talk Flask. It's super easy to get started, right? But what happens when that simple little project needs to actually grow? Well, today we're going to break down how to build a Flask project foundation that's, truly built to last. I mean, you've been there, right? We all have. You start with that simple hello world in one single script. Then you add a few more routes, maybe some configuration, and before you know it, you're just endlessly scrolling through this one giant file that's become an absolute nightmare to manage. So today, we are completely ditching that approach. Instead, we're going to build a clean, scalable boilerplate right from the ground up. Think of it as a professional starting point that's going to save you so many headaches on any future web app you build. Doesn't matter if it's a simple API or a huge, complex e-commerce site. So here's the game plan. We're going to start with the basics, setting up your environment. Then we'll get into the really cool stuff, the application factory pattern and organizing with blueprints. After that, we'll build out some reusable views and finish up with a little styling to tie it all together. Sound good? All right, first things first, let's get our environment set up. Seriously, before we write even a single line of Flask code, we've got to build a solid foundation for our project to live in. It's super important. Now, don't worry, you don't need to be an expert to follow along. As long as you're pretty comfortable with the terminal and you know some basic Python, you're going to be just fine. Let's dive in. Okay, so we'll kick things off by making a new project directory. Then, right inside that folder, we're going to create a virtual environment. And this step is absolutely crucial. It keeps all of our project's dependencies totally separate and helps us avoid those messy conflicts down the road. Okay, next up, we need to actually activate that environment. Now, the command is just a little bit different depending on if you're on Windows or on a Mac or Linux machine, so just use the one that's right for you. And you'll know it worked when you see that little venv pop up in your command prompt. That's your signal that we're good to go. So now that our virtual environment is up and running, the only thing we need to install for now is Flask itself. A quick pip install and we'll have everything we need to get this party started. All right, our environment is all set up. Now it's time for our first and probably most important architectural decision. We're about to move way beyond that simple single script and implement a really powerful concept called the application factory pattern. You've seen it a million times, right? Almost every Flask tutorial out there starts exactly like this. One app.py file, it creates the app instance, defines a simple hello world route. And hey, it's quick and works. For a minute. But really, ask yourself, what happens next? What happens when you need to add different configs for testing and production, or a database connection, or, dozens of new routes? All of a sudden, that single file approach just completely falls apart. It gets so messy, so fast. And this is the key transformation. We're going to restructure our project. We create a new directory, and we move our code into this special file called dunderinit.py. This little file is like magic. It tells Python, hey, treat this board directory as a package. And that right there is the foundation for a truly modular and scalable app. This is exactly where the application factory comes into play. And I know it sounds kind of complex, but it's really not. It's just a function. That's it, a function that creates and configures our Flask app. The big idea here is that by using a factory, we delay creating the app. This makes it way more modular and a whole lot easier to test with different setups. And just look at how clean this pattern is. Our init.py file is now super simple. It just has one function, create app, that kicks off and returns the app. That's it. All the other logic, like our routes, our configuration, all that stuff, is going to live in other modules, where it belongs. Okay, so we've got our factory that creates the app. The next logical question is, what's the best way to organize all the different pages and routes that our application is going to have? Because it's going to have a lot. And yeah, this is the very next scaling challenge we face. If we just start cramming more and more route decorators into our create app function, well, we're right back where we started, aren't we? Just one giant cluttered file. We definitely need a better way. And guess what? The solution is built right into Flask. It's called a blueprint. The best way to think about a blueprint is like a mini app inside your main app. It lets you group a bunch of related routes and views together into their own separate, neat little modules. So here's how it actually works. We'll make a new file, maybe call it pages.py for all our standard site pages. Inside that file, we create a blueprint object. And then, and this is the key part, we attach our routes, like for the home page and the about page, directly to that blueprint, not the main app. And then the final step is just to connect it all up. We hop back over to our application factory, import our brand new Pages blueprint, and just register it with the app. And boom, just like that, all the routes from our pages.py file are now live and active in our application. See? Super clean, perfectly organized. Okay, our back-end logic is looking really, really good. It's nice and structured. So now let's switch gears and turn our attention to the front end. It's time to tackle the user interface by making some awesome reusable HTML templates. So Flask comes with this amazing tool called the Jinja templating engine. We're going to use one of its most powerful features, template inheritance. The idea is simple. We start by creating one single file, base.html, that defines the entire HTML skeleton of our site. But we leave these little placeholder blocks for things that will change from page to page, like the title or the main content. And what that means is our individual page templates become incredibly simple. Take home.html, for example. All it has to do is say, hey, I extend that base template, and then it just fills in the blanks for the specific content blocks. That's it. No more copy-pasting the header, the footer, the navigation on every single page. It's a game changer. And we can actually take this one step further for things that show up on every page, like a navigation bar. We can create a tiny little partial template that has just the navigation HTML inside. Then we just use the include command to pull it right into our main base template. This is what keeps our code dry. Don't repeat yourself. Super efficient. All right, we're in the home stretch. Our project is structured, it's organized, and it's functional. Let's add that final layer of polish with a little bit of CSS, and then we can step back and really appreciate the amazing foundation we've just built together. So by default, Flask knows to look for static files like CSS, JavaScript, images, all that good stuff, in a special folder called static. So we'll just create our styles.css file in there, and then we link to it in the head of our base.html file. And since every page inherits from that base, the styles will automatically apply everywhere. So let's just take a second and recap everything we've accomplished. We've gone way, way beyond a simple script here. Our project is now a legitimate Python package. We're using an application factory for total flexibility. We've got blueprints keeping our routes perfectly organized, and Jinja templates making our front end a breeze to maintain. This is a seriously professional setup. What you have now is a solid, scalable foundation that's ready for you to build literally anything on top of it. The structure we've created makes adding that next big feature, a database, user accounts, you name it, so incredibly easy. So, really, the only question left is, what are you going to build first?